As another hi-fi year is drawing to a close and it starts to get dark and cold here in the UK, so misery is setting in, it's a great time to cheer myself up by looking back over a long year's worth of hi-fi reviews to name the most standout and best hi-fi amplifiers and vinyl playback gear that I have seen. And let me tell you now, there are some real gems in this video. This video is specifically looking at the most standout and my best hi-fi amplifiers and vinyl playback gear. And that means I've had to either review those products or spent considerable time with them in 2024. And I've made specific videos for speakers and for hi-fi digital and AV products. So maybe check those out as well. But let's start with amplifiers, as I have reviewed 10 different amplifier setups in 2024, ranging from about £1,500 to about £25,000, so a very big price variety. And I will say this again, I think it's important as a professional reviewer that you do look at products of a variety of price, but especially the more expensive, more elite products, because they should be better, of course. And unless you've listened to those products quite a lot, how do you judge anything else against them? You know, where do you set your reference point? And I think it's important that as a reviewer, you try and reset your reference point as often as possible. But I want to start by speaking about a British-made integrated amplifier that I think took a lot of us by surprise and marks a whole new chapter and future for a very established hi-fi brand, and that is Cyrus. Because I think Cyrus hi-fi products have looked pretty much the same for my whole entire life, or at least as far back as I can remember. So their new 40 series, the new look, which is really very different, really very modern, still familiar, but new and modern and really nice. That whole look really stood out to me. And I really like the look of the 40 amp for being clean and modern and classy, while still being relatively obviously still a Cyrus. And that is a clever way to redevelop a product range. Then the sound quality of the 40 amp really surprised me for how good it is. It had a nice, smooth, very engaging sound with a good amount of drive and muscle for the small form factor. That surprised me, with a warmer, very rounded, nice flow to how music is delivered. But it was when I compared a full Cyrus 40 setup to the more expensive NAD M66 M23 combo, using it just straight out of the box with no DSP, I preferred the Cyrus setup in the main. And that is when it hit me just how well Cyrus have done here with the new 40 range, not only for the looks, but also for the sound. And then you can bolt on the power supply upgrades, which of course adds more complexity and more cost, but they do take the sound quality up really quite a significant amount also. So Cyrus very much deserve a PPS Standout Hi-Fi Product Award for 2024 for the 40 amp. It's not a cheap integrated at just under £4,000, but it has a good DAC in it. It looks great. It sounds great. It doesn't generate loads of heat, so it's very easy to live with. So well done, Cyrus. Very well deserved for this award. The next amplifier that I want to speak about is just an amplifier, just a stereo power amplifier, which is a little strange because, of course, the preamplifier that you use will affect the sound and will affect the result. And actually, the manufacturer doesn't make, at the moment, a preamplifier to go with this power amplifier, but they are looking to offer a lot of sound quality and build quality in a way for the money, and that is obviously great for a lot of people. And some of you might have guessed it already. I'm talking about the Galion TSA75, which is not the prettiest or most luxurious built power amplifier, but open it up and there are some good quality parts inside, and it delivers a hell of a lot of sound quality for the money, holding its own in my testing with the more expensive NAD M23 and Primaire A35.2, which is very high praise indeed. and it's offering a really good amount of power with a nice, smooth overall sound with a very good soundstage and great bass dynamics. So Thomas from the Thomas and Stereo YouTube channel that you might be familiar with, very well done to you for creating a power amplifier that is a very compelling package because it's offering a hell of a lot of sound quality for its very real world price of just under $1,500. So it's the kind of amplifier that's going to make a hell of a lot of people very happy for what it offers, for what it costs. So the Galion TS A75 is very deserved of a PPS Standout HiFi Product Award for 2024. The next amplifier I want to speak about has a very unique aesthetic specific to that manufacturer. And I'm speaking about the Chord Electronics Ultima integrated amplifier. And what's interesting about this amplifier, of course, is the look, but also the build quality. The build quality really is like a cut above what you class as maybe like an average kind of hi-fi amplifier. It starts to get you into what you might call like luxurious types of build quality. It really is exceptional. But the reason the Ultima wins a PPS Standout Product Award is because it gave me the most realistic sound of any amplifier all year, and for longer than that actually. And it's quite a different music presentation to most other amplifiers that I called a studio sound, because the focus of the music and the realism is on another level to even the far more expensive amplifiers that I had here this year. So if you value a very realistic, a very honest, a very, what you might think is a studio type of sound, right? Very clear, very fast, very precise, very honest, and very realistic. Well, then the Chord Electronics Ultima integrated amplifier really stands out, even with its higher price tag of just under £8,500. So the Chord Electronics Ultima integrated is a very worthy winner of a PPS Standout Hi-Fi Product Award for its sound and especially its build quality. Coming back down to more real-world pricing, the new Quad 33 and 303 that I had here just recently to review really stood out to me this year. Of course, for bringing back a hi-fi legend from the past. How can that not stand out? But really it was the styling of the 33 and 303 and really its intent that stood out to me. And it seems the use of the colour orange is a little divisive, which is understandable. But it's hard not to like the Quad 33 and 303 for their main overall design. The build quality is fantastic for the money of £1,199 each unit. And what I really liked about this amplifier setup was having a separate all-analog preamp with no digital in it, and then separate power amplifiers, so doing it the old-fashioned pre-power way, which I still think is in the main the best way to do it, even if not the best for convenience. Call me old-fashioned if you will, I really don't mind. I was very impressed with the Quad 33's all-analog tone controls and how that allowed me to tune the sound to be more to my liking. That was really important to me. And I was also very impressed with the Quad 33's built-in phono stage. However, I wouldn't have minded it not having a phono stage and definitely not having a headphone amplifier, and instead getting an aluminium remote control of a similar build quality to the units themselves as opposed to a plastic one. However, I can see many people disagreeing with that, which is absolutely fine. That aside, I found the Quad 33 and 303 very enjoyable to listen to, especially with the new Wharfdale Super Linton speakers, and that seems like a hi-fi match made in heaven. Especially with the sound I was getting just a few days ago with that system plus a Rail Classic 99 subwoofer. I really enjoyed having this quad set up here in my home. It was a pleasure to live with. So the Quad 33 and 303 ×2 setup wins a PPS Standout Award for 2024, and I think very well deserved too. Lastly, to praise is an integrated amplifier that I had here on 2 separate occasions. And both times it was here, the hi-fi system or the sound I was getting in this listening room was just hitting on a different level to any other time really throughout the year. And that includes a lot of time I spent with the same manufacturer's more expensive pre and power setup. And I'm of course talking about the Gryphon Diablo 333 integrated amplifier. That thing is ridiculous as it weighs over 50 kilograms. And the whole time it was here, I had a bad neck and a bad back from having to move it around. I was really worried about putting it on the table that I used to shoot a lot of my B-roll clips because it was so heavy. However, the weight makes sense when you take the lid off and look inside, because there was no way for me to give you any kind of scale for the internal components, but trust me, they are all massive. The transformers, the capacitors, all of it, it's on a totally different scale and level to pretty much most other amplifiers that I've taken the lid off to look inside. So the Diablo 333 is an absolute monster of an integrated amplifier for its size and its weight and its power, which almost doubles down from 8 ohms to 4 ohms to 2 ohms. But unlike the Diablo 300 integrated it replaces, that I also had here at the same time, it's less of a monster power sounding amplifier, as it has a lot more finesse to its delivery. And the way it expands the soundstage while still making music such an event to sit and listen to, it really is special for sure. And it doesn't matter what the music is or how demanding the speaker gets, it handles it all no problem and elevates all music to something that's always stand out and always special to spend time enjoying. Now, sadly, the Diablo 333 is too expensive for me as an integrated amplifier, costing £24,500. So that is a huge amount of money for a HiFi integrated amplifier. And I know some people can sometimes be offended when you praise, very expensive HiFi products. That I kind of understand. But I think it's important in this job that I'm very honest with you. And like I said, the Diablo 333 just hit different to any other amplifier setup from all the other 10 that I spent time with this year. And it was the sound that I was always trying to get back to or trying to level up to with everything else that I had here. It was like the standard setup for the year. And I think it's just fantastic, an absolutely fantastic amplifier that I loved spending time with. I loved listening to. I didn't love moving it around, but I absolutely loved listening to it. So in this job, I pride myself on being honest. And being honest sometimes means telling you things that you need to hear rather than the things that you want to hear. So that is what honesty is. So in being totally honest, I have to say that the Gryphon Diablo 333 was the best HiFi amplifier, is my best HiFi amplifier of 2024. Like I said, I absolutely loved the time I spent with it. So yes, it's very expensive, but hopefully throughout all of the standout awards, there is a look, there is a sound, and there is a price of amplifier setup that will appeal, hopefully, to pretty much everybody who watches this video. When it comes to vinyl playback, I really feel like 2024 was the year that I started to actually really get going with vinyl playback and started to get some really good sound going on. So that's a really important thing for me, being still relatively new to vinyl playback. And I'll be honest and admit that a large part of that was me getting my hands on the Origin Live Calypso turntable and Conqueror tone arm, which is an expensive setup, I know. But what I loved most about it was how easy it was for me to set up and use to achieve a fantastic sound. What I class as the beginning of getting somewhere really great and special. Because of course I am still learning and discovering new products and characters of sound quality. But the second half of this year, I've been getting some really special, fantastic stuff going on listening to vinyl. I think a number of Origin Live products I'm using deserve a PPS Standout Award, but I'm just going to give it to two. Firstly, the Conqueror tone arm, because I really liked how easy it made installing a cartridge, and it seems to track so well that it's forgiving of my setup mistakes maybe, and records quality to some degree. And I've also really enjoyed the Origin Live Silver Hybrid 2 tone arm cable that I've used in 2 varieties now. And I found it to be excellent for just giving me great sound quality, that's important, but also for wiring up to remove any noise or hum in the system when I've connected the turntable to a variety of different amplifier setups. And I've found its flexible grounding options to be really useful, and that now makes a lot of sense to me. But really it's this whole Origin Live turntable setup with the Sumiko styling cartridge that I've lived with now for many months, so a huge thank you for the extended review period to give me this time that I've needed to really get properly into great vinyl sound quality and listening sessions that I've been having probably the second half of this year more so. So it's been really, really enjoyable. And lastly to speak about is a phono stage, the Modwright PH9, because I had it here on loan for a couple of months earlier this year, and I really got settled with it. I was really starting to get into it, its sound, and and getting used to it. And I'd actually purchased some NOS tubes for it just to try to see what sort of difference that they might make. Then a UK distributor needed it back, which is fine, all right, it's a loan unit. But when they took it back, I missed it. I really missed it. And then one came up on the used market, so I bought it. But it's not a PH9. I actually bought the fully upgraded Modwright PH9 XT, which has a tube in the rectifier stage of the power supply, and also it has a balanced output that uses Lundell transformers, so it should give you a cleaner, slightly higher gain output. So at some point next year, I'll likely make a video about my experiences and explorations with the Modwright PH9 XT phono stage once I've had some time to use it. So the Modwright PH9 or XT winning a standout products award from me in 2024 maybe is a little bit weaker because I haven't compared it to 9 other phono stages, like of course I compared 10 amplifiers this year. However, it stood out to me enough for me to spend my own money, because even buying one on the used market is still a lot of money. It's expensive product. So I spent a lot of my own money to buy the PH9 XT. You can see it on the rack just there behind me, because that's how much that phono stage stood out to me this year. And I love the idea of playing around with different valves and tubes in it to see if I can't, find a little bit of extra special sound. So there you have it. Those are my best standout hi-fi amplifiers and final playback products of 2024. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget, there's also a dedicated video for speakers and one for digital hi-fi products and AV products, projectors mostly. So make sure you check out those videos as well. Thanks for watching and subscribe to the channel for more.